Good morning, parents, guardians, guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is St. Therese Private School's first of the webinar series designed exclusively for our parents. This webinar is brought to you by the STEPS Task Force Parenting in cooperation with Vibal. Please rise for the opening prayer by Miss Christine Abutog and Miss Giselle Simbulan, Guidance and Wellness Center facilitators. This will be followed immediately by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Wait lang. Hala.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear God, thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We are truly grateful for them. Thank you for allowing us today to meet and share our knowledge and time in this webinar. We ask for your blessing as we
May you bestow your blessings to all of us after this webinar so that we may go forth and live what we learned in the spirit of your love and generosity. We pray for everyone's continued understanding and cooperation as we journey through this school year. Continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of the greater glory of you and for the future of our dear students, who are our reason. Your infinite blessing would mean the success of this webinar. May we be living witnesses of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this activity. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. Saint Therese of the Child Jesus, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, ewas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyang ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatak tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tulang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang islang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitingin, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magtitingin. Lumang ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling ko. Ang hinigaya ng pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
You may now take your seats. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the Assistant Principal for Academics, Ms. Rachel Reyadique, for her opening remarks.
Okay na. Good morning and welcome our dear parents and guardians. Thank you for reserving this day and for waking up early this Saturday for the first of our series of seminars and activities designed especially for you. The objective of our activities, including this one, is to help you adjust to the new task that this pandemic forced you to take on. We know that the biggest adjustments you have to make this year are those that involve your children's education. These adjustments entail sacrifices and compromises. You might be a doctor, an accountant, an engineer, a firefighter, but now suddenly find yourselves being a teacher. This is something you did not intend to be and ready for. But times are changing. We cannot really change the situation we are in right now, but we can surely change our course, make drastic measures to meet the demands of time. Today, we hope to make you move an inch closer to becoming a better teacher, if you are still not, with two important topics that you, parents and guardians, need to know and understand. Discussed by the two young education professionals, our webinar talks about how parents as teachers can create positive teaching learning experiences for their children and how parents can make online education safe for their children. We are indeed grateful to Rebel Group for making this webinar happen and for the two educators who readily said yes to be this morning's speakers. Without further ado, may I now give you our first speaker.
Our first lecturer is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Nursing from the Our Lady of Fatima University. She was a consistent Dean's Lister during her college years. She pursued and completed her professional education subjects from the City of Malabon University. She has a master's degree in education, major in administration and supervision. Currently, she works both as a module writer for the Department of Education, Division of Malabon, and as a master teacher in English at Longas National High School. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk about how parents as teachers in today's education setup can create positive teaching learning experiences for their children, please welcome Miss Marian Chris Castor.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me loud and clear? So before we start, I want to greet first all of our parents who's here with us. Good morning and welcome to St. Therese Private School Webinar for Parents. So this morning, basically our first topic would be focused on parents as teachers creating positive teaching learning experiences for your children. As an educator and as a parent as well, I actually combined my experiences, okay, to give out the best of the both combination of both worlds. So for this morning, I want us to start by asking ourselves if we can actually relate with the different stressors that we encountered during the past few weeks, as what Ma'am Reodike have mentioned, that we have to continuously adjust and adopt because of our new setup. So let's start. Actually relate with our first illustration. To those mommy, wonder titas, or grandparents who's here with us, can you relate with them to the illustration? As you can see, there is a mom or a tita or a lola who's actually doing multitasking at the same time. Naglalaba, nagluluto, naglilinis, okay? And at the same time, at the end of the day, you also have to teach your kids? Did you experience that for these past few weeks? Did it added up stress in your daily living? Okay. If you can actually relate, you may simply type yes in the comment, okay, chat box in your FB Live. You may actually do that. Okay. Or let us not forget our dad. So I also have a friend who's a single father, and he is working as a nurse during the day, and then every night he used to assist his kids to actually answer the modules. So are you also one of them? Can you actually relate, or do you have to do that after a very tiring day? So did you experience that? Next, them. Those who are actually having a hard time with the technology. Are you having headaches, okay, by actually attaching files, how to join the Google Classroom, encountering different technical glitches, okay? Are you also one of them who's having difficulty in submitting output online because you're not used to do that, especially during our traditional setup? So this is a total new experience, not just for the parents, but as well as for the teachers also. Or lastly, relate with this one. Are you also having a hard time? It's like you actually went back, okay, going to school, and let us accept it. There are times that the parents are no longer aware of what is the current trend, especially with our 21st century learners, whereas you have to deal with diverse types of students. Or there are also cases that we actually forgot. What do we mean by that Pythagorean theorem? Or what are the basics because you graduated way back? So are you one of those parents who's having difficulty refreshing those knowledges? Okay. So if your answer is actually yes, definitely you have to stay until we finish our full webinar series, because this will totally help you to adjust and to actually adopt with the changes that we're currently encountering. So for today's objective, we actually have three. The first one is none other than to seek to identify the difficulties encountered by the parents or guardians. It is very important that you are aware that there is something wrong or something is lacking and you have to do something about it. So I want to congratulate each and every parent who's with us this morning, because it seems that you have the initiative to actually adopt or to learn, and you are willing. That is very important, the willingness of the parent to cooperate with the school so that this distant learning may actually be successful. Next, for our second objective, we have able the parent or guardians of the student to actually focus, okay, and become interested while learning at home is happening. This is also the core of our discussion, whereas we want to lessen the toxic part. We want to lessen the stress that you are currently facing and experiencing, okay? And then for the last one is to make room parents or guardians' well-being. It's important as a parent that we take good care of our family, especially of our kids. But it doesn't mean that we have to compensate our own health. So for us to take good care of them, of course, we have to take good care of ourselves first. Let's now move on with the core of our discussion. Rotate with the 10 tips in creating positive educational experiences for students. That is going to be our focus. And in every classroom, every teacher must have to set our first tip, okay, for learning to become efficient and effective. Without this, there will be chaos inside the classroom. So our first step is none other than to set rules. Okay? is it different in setting rules in a classroom setting as well as inside our home? So the difference between the two is basically because inside the classroom, the school may actually use or follow a set of rules already established in the student handbook. It can be already imposed. While at home, you can actually adjust or personalize the set of rules that you're going to use. Okay? It is very important that you have to include your kids in setting the rules. So, as a parent, nobody knows your kids better than you. Whatever it is suitable for them, you are the one who's going to impose or going to implement that. So, for example, if you have younger kids, you may start setting the rules by, okay, the first one, very simple, gumising na maaga. But if you have teenagers, possible that your rules will start with matulog ng maaga. Okay, that is a common problem. If the kids is younger, mas madaling pasunurin. But eventually, okay, habang lumalaki, it gets harder. And then, mas nagiging problema natin, rather than gumising ng maaga, yung patulugin sila na mas maaga because of the social media and different applications that they keep on using. Another, okay, second rule, simple also, very simple. And this is already given by the school, sundin ang schedule. As a parent, we have to be strict with the schedule. We have to impose discipline sa bahay pa lang. And if mas bata, okay, way better for us to train them earlier. And then lastly, as simple as this one, no cell phone during class hours or sa oras ng classes established by the school. And you may also ask them if they are aware for what are the rules that they have to follow. So by now, siguro, you have experienced already different types of problems or stressors inside your house, whereas you can actually adjust, or you may ask your kids how to resolve this kind of problems. And then if your kids are learning, okay, or using online, you may ask them what are the basic rules that they have to follow. Okay, for example, as simple as this one, what are their meeting rules? You may ask them. So they have to be familiar with this kind of things, because if your kids have good discipline, definitely everything will run smoothly. But if they cannot follow simple rules, we're going to definitely have a problem with that. Okay, as simple as turning, okay, turning their microphone on mute. That is very simple, but they have to know it by now. So that learning may actually happen smoothly. Okay, so that is very important. To avoid chaos, we have to set rule, and that is our rule number 1, or tip, or first tip. Next, second one, okay, we need to have a study corner. Or a study corner is actually a must-have. House, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to provide one whole room, okay, just for the kids to study there. So no need for that. As simple as this setup, okay? As you can see in our pictures here, it's possible that you may actually have a small table. If the kid needs to use a cell phone, you can actually buy a cell phone holder. And if you have a desktop, you may have a certain corner for that setup. Or if your kid is using a laptop, you can also do this, okay? The illustration at the bottom. And then for them to be reminded of the rules that you actually established, you may post it in their study corner or in their learning area as well. So that is important. For younger kids, study corner actually sharpens the minds and improves concentration, especially if they're trying to develop what we call a study habit. So just like inside the classroom, if the kids being reminded to stay still in one chair. You're trying to develop it and impose discipline already. Okay? Without pressuring them, they will, by routinely doing it, they will be conditioned to actually develop their study. So that is also very important. Next, let us have our tip number 3. Have a daily routine. What do I mean by daily routine? Of course, we have to start first with what we call schedule. So by now, you already have the schedules of your kids. Your kids may actually get their schedule from their advisor or from the school. And this can actually help you keep on track. You can also make this interactive by posting the class schedule on the study corner, or you may actually have your kid check or use a pentel pen in checking the calendar if they did accomplish something for that day, so that they can be aware what they have finished, what they have done, and then it can also be fun for them. It's like playing a game. Without knowing, you're already teaching them the days of the week. Okay, without even teaching them, they will get used to it, and then eventually they will learn from that kind of interactive activity. And teenagers, you can actually ask them to maximize the use of their gadget. The use of applications such as the calendar in their cell phone, you may ask them so that they can keep on track, or they can keep track on their activities that they have to submit, what are the deadlines, okay? They may actually use that. So hindi lang para sa paglalaro na ML or other online games that they used to spend a lot of time with, no? So that's very important. Let us keep our kids on track by strictly following the set of rules imposed by the school. Next, our tip number 4, have a realistic expectations. So as parents, we knew starting from the beginning that we're going to have a problem with this distant learning. Why? Because we cannot actually be with them 24/7 teaching them all about the modules. So we have to list these things down. The first thing that you have to talk with your kid is your working hours. These are the time where they cannot actually disrupt, or they cannot keep on asking you from time to time, because it adds stress on the part of the parent. So you have to talk to them that, anak, okay, I have to work from 8 to 5. Then next one is you have to actually inform them also, when is your free time? When can you actually be with them? So hindi naman pwede na from 8 to 5 you're working, and then after 5 you're going to rest na. So as a parent, it is also our responsibility to assist them. So by doing that, they are aware. When can I actually talk to my parent, or to my tita, to my tito, to my lolo or lola? Okay? Kailan ba ang aming study time? So that is very important that you already set those kinds of things so that everything will fall into place. And then lastly, you may actually list things, or you may actually talk to them what are the things that they can actually do on their own. It will promote independent learning, and at the same time, okay, they will be productive. You can maximize the use of time while you're working. They will do it independently. And then after your working hours, you may actually sit down and look at it at the same time. So what am I talking about? What are the things that your kids can do on their own? First one, you can advise them to do advanced reading. Advanced reading with the lessons that they're about to encounter or to take. And then next one, okay, they can actually scan their modules also. It's very important in answering the module that the kids develop what we call independent learning. Okay, as a parent, you have to give them room to breathe or room to learn. You do not have to answer the modules for them if they're having their module. Instead, you just simply have to assist your kid. But I do understand that there are some parents na, especially if they have teenagers already, they will just simply ask their kids to go and then answer all your modules because I'm not familiar with it. I can no longer understand it, or I do not have the knowledge to answer that. You are on your own. So that is also a big no. So for you to have a quick back, what are the different parts of a module that you're going to encounter? So I have here a list of parts inside the module, okay, having these technical terms that you have to be aware with. The module, or also known as supplementary learning materials, you'll be encountering what we call expectations. This is not just good for the parents, but also for the teachers. Whereas you have to be familiar what are the different functions of this part and why is it included in the module. So the first one is what we call the expectation part. Just like what I did, we started with our objective. It is very important that you have the expectations because at the end of the lesson, what do you want to attain? It must be met. Okay? Without meeting these expectations, you have to stay with that lesson, or you have to reteach that lesson to your kid. This one is the pre-test. What is the function of the pre-test? Okay? The pre-test used to test the prior knowledge of your kid. Okay? They can answer this on their own so that you can also test if they have prior knowledge already about the lesson. Next, we also have what we call the looking back. The looking back includes the past lessons that they have discussed or they have entered. The next one is what we call the brief introduction. The brief introduction includes the lesson proper. The module, it's like you're encountering uh, the flow of the lessons or the teaching process, okay, as a whole. So the brief introduction served as the discussion proper of the teacher. And then there are times that you can actually get the answers in the activities coming from your brief introduction. Then we also have what we call the remembering part. These are the essential things that has to be highlighted. Most of the time, the remembering part inside the module are the essential part of the lessons that your kids have to remember. And then the next one would be the checking of understanding. Up to this part, it is important that your kid, okay, tried and test themselves if they can answer it on their own. Okay, I strongly suggest if you're using the module and you have this part, you allow them to answer it. Okay, before you move on with the post-its. By checking the understanding of your child or letting them answer it, and then during your free time, you may be able to scan it and to see if they were able to get it correctly. And then that is the time that you may allow them to answer the post-test. When answering the post-test, it is important that they have the essential knowledge about the topic already. So do not let them answer it without totally understanding the content of the lesson. So until the checking of understanding, they can do that on their own. And then after doing that, you may actually assist them in answering the post. Okay? So that is very, very important. Trying to make our kids independent as early as possible will eventually give them a boost of confidence that they need, especially in facing real life situations. So this is important that we have to let them or allow them to work on their own. Not necessarily it's all about the scores or the grade. It is about the discipline and the attitude that we're trying to inculcate in our kids. Okay? Next, aside from that, we also have to encourage self-regulation. What do I mean by that? So we know that in our blended learning or distant learning, your kids are at home with you. So there are a lot of distractions, no? A lot of distractions coming from what? Coming from possible, the different things that surrounds them. And you need to have what we call designated places for things like this one. For younger kids, definitely the toys. You have to keep the toy away from the study corner or the study area of your kid. Okay? And for the teenagers, or yung medyo older ones na, you need to have a designated place for their food. Even as adults, we're sometimes guilty of this. When we tried to scan the social media, we lost track of time. Okay? And that is normal. Maybe because that is the sole purpose of social media, to consume our time. So we have to try to help them do self-regulation by keeping these things away, okay, from our kids, especially if we're trying to develop their study habit so that they can actually focus. Next one. Tip number 6. Let us actually do what we call role playing. Role playing is a very effective way, okay, in encouraging students to participate inside the classroom. Doing role playing can actually give a lot of benefits, especially for our students during this time of pandemic. Some benefits of role playing is actually listed here. The first one is to bring out the imagination and creativity of the child. There are some students who's not good with written activities, okay, but they excel when it comes with writing. So that is their strength. So you may actually discover this if you're going to do role playing at teacher-teacheran inside your household. Whereas you may actually ask your child if there are times that he wants to play as the teacher, especially if he already or she already mastered a lesson. You try to do that so that you can check if there is learning and the child can actually convey those learning to you. If it's clear already, the concept is clear, and he or she mastered it already. So in doing role playing, the child can also express their personality. So this is good, especially nowadays that socialization is very limited and our kids are only staying at home. Okay, role playing also develops cooperation and teamwork. So nowadays, because they're only seeing their classmates in virtual, okay, in online classes, so we still have to play with them, give them that right. It is the right to actually play. And through play, they may actually learn, okay, by doing what we call kashiran. You can actually teach them addition and then subtraction by doing that. And lastly, one of the most important benefits of role playing is what we call, okay, knowing the multiple intelligences of your kid. So what do I mean by that? Multiple intelligences, okay, is a theory developed by Howard Gardner. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences is divided into 8. Okay? Going to look at this optimistically. There are kids who likes to roam around the classroom, lipat ng upuan, no? But then you can actually use the Howard Gardner to say that this kid is only body smart, meaning this kid is bodily kinesthetic. So, mas na-express ng bata or ng anak ninyo ang kanyang personality if he keeps on moving. Okay? Ito yung medyo may mga hyper. So, possible, kesa sabihin mo na malikot siya, he is just a bodily kinesthetic or he is just body smart. So, magaling kasi siya pagdating sa paggalaw, okay? Or possible, ang kids ninyo ay magaling sumayaw. So, yan, papasok din dito yan sa body smart. Next theory, there are kids who are also what we call people smart. These are the type of kids na iwan mo in one place. Definitely, hindi yan mawawala na kausap. So, possible na kapag ang anak niyo inside the classroom, sasabihin ni teacher, Mami, so masyado palang friendly ang inyong baby. Dahil every time natitignan ko, kahit na nagde-discuss na si teacher, she keeps on talking. So, possible, pwede natin siyang masabi na itong bata na to ay people smart. Next, okay? What we call the word smart. These are the type of kids who also loves to do talking and at the same time, written activities. So, mas na-express nila possible yung sarili nila, not just limited with talking, also in writing. So, that is good also if you can identify it. Because eventually, you can give them activities to further improve that skill. Next is for logic smart. Possible if ang anak ninyo ay magaling sa mathematics, they have this kind of intelligence. Hindi lang siya limited in mathematics, but as well as in solving analytical problem. So, possible din na magaling ito sa science, following a certain process or step-by-step procedure. So, pwede mong i-include na ang anak ko pala ay isang logic smart. Magaling pala siya pagdating sa math. Okay? Next is for nature smart. There's also some kids, okay, na mahilig talaga when it comes with planting or sa paghahalaman. Or these are the kids na na-train. Possible na train sila very, very well na hindi talaga sila nagkakalat or they're very much concerned with our mother nature or with their environment. So possible that that kid also have the intelligence of being nature smart. Next one, possible then, no, na pwede mong ma-discover through role-playing na ang anak mo ay self-smart, meaning he or she can be independent most of the time. So possible na kaya niya kahit siya lang mag-isa. So inside the house, kahit walang classmate, kapag meron kang pinagawang task na supposedly dapat group activity siya, but he or she can actually do it by himself or herself, you can conclude that that child is actually self-smart. So ang anak ko pala ay very independent, no? Kaya niya mag-isa. And then we also have what we call teacher smart. So these are the kids who like take pictures and at the same time they like to draw. These are the kids na mahilig sa art. So possible na ma-discover mo yan. So take advantage of this opportunity of bonding with your kid, especially during this time, para to avoid stress and at the same time, you're going to dig deeper or understand what are the different strengths that my kid have, okay, or had. Then, you may also have a child na pinaupo mo lang sa isang tabi tapos kanta ng kanta or they keep on humming. Definitely, the child is music smart. Possible then that these are kids na very much interested when it comes with musical instruments. So they are actually inclined or they're very much interested. There are some kids who's like that. And let us remember Howard Gardner theory of multiple intelligences. Kaya nga siya tinawag na multiple because your kid may have actually more than one. So by doing role playing, you will get to know your kid way better na ano ba ang strength ng aking anak. So, hindi lang siya magaling possible, no? Magaling siyang gumalaw, nasa beat, mahilig pa sa music. So, possible na combination siya ng music smart and body smart. Possible din naman that your kid is actually logic smart at the same time, health smart. These are the kids na pag may problems, alam kagad nila. Okay? Spontaneous. Kapag merong nagawang kasalanan, automatic nagsasorry. Automatic may natapon, automatic kukuha yan na things to clean the mess. Okay? So these are important things that we used to neglect na hindi na natin na-observe. Especially for those busy parents na they keep on working, so medyo less yung time for interaction. When the time comes that you have this kind of opportunity, do not miss it out. So this is very important. Okay? 1. So, kilala mo na. You know your kids way better, no? Alam mo na, oh ma'am, alam ko na ngayon kung ano po ang kaya ng aking anak at hindi. But this is still superficial. So, to know your kids better, for tip number 7, this is very important. The key to every successful relationship is none other than communication. With your kids is actually essential. Okay? Talk to your kids about what? The first thing is, what is their favorite subject? At simple as that. Or what is their least favorite? It doesn't mean that that is the least favorite. Doon na siya mahina. No. There are times lang na kulang sa motivation. Or kulang sa strategy, maging interested din yung subject na yun for that kid. It's not enough that you ask them. Na tinanong mo lang siya, what do you like? What are the things that you do not really like or you dislike? But it is also important for you to actually act. Okay? Don't just talk, act. Okay? Do something to enhance their skills. It's like what I have mentioned earlier. Okay?
Hindi ka nabalik dito Nakalaro.
Hello? Okay, just like... Okay, sorry for that. Just like what I have mentioned, you have to do something to enhance your kids' skills, okay? You may actually try to develop a strategy by actually discovering their strengths and weaknesses. For example, your kid is actually interested in science. They like planets, okay? Or they like animals. But they do not like reading. They're not interested in reading. So you have to strategize by buying them things that they actually learn or get interested in reading, and at the same time, they can scan a lot of pictures or a lot of different animals and planets. So aside from that, you may actually make the least favorite subjects into something very interesting. For example, they do not like mathematics. They do not like math, but they like playing games. So you may use Uno. Are you familiar with Uno? Good as flashcards. You may actually try to play that with your kid, and then eventually they will develop that skill without them knowing it. So that is important. But this is only applicable if your kid is actually younger. If you have older kids, it gets harder. They don't usually talk that much. Okay? So if they don't talk, it is time for what we call an SOS. And who are we going to call? It's none other than the teacher. So if you cannot communicate with your kid very well, it is important that you approach the teacher of your kid and get feedback. Let us not be scared. As parents, let us be open with communication to our dear teachers, not just with the teachers, but as well as with the school. It is important that you learn to communicate with them. Okay? The school is the one who's going to provide the assistance, and definitely the teachers are more than willing to assist each and every parent. I can assure you that. And the next one, appreciate your kids' work. Not necessarily that you have to put a star also every time that they did submit something. It is important that you keep it organized. If you have younger kids, you may actually ask them to post it on the wall or in your refrigerator. That is a good technique or good strategy. For us, they actually felt appreciated. And let us remember that displaying their work makes them feel extra special. Okay? And then for teens, you can actually organize their output by using this kind of folder where after you have to, you can actually keep it. And then eventually you may categorize. And let us remember that kids grow very fast, time flies. So as time goes by, eventually you can actually go back and then scan it with your kid, and then they will definitely appreciate if you're going to do that. Next, for our tip number 9, give what we call daily dose of praises. Let us not be generic when we give praises, meaning you do not have to keep saying the same thing over and over. Instead, take time to observe what they did. For example, your kid showed you that they actually got 10 out of 20 in their summative test. So you may congratulate them by saying, okay na, that's good. And then eventually you have to pinpoint what are the flosses, saan nagkulang, ano yung pwede pang i-improve. You have to give details. If you keep on saying, okay, very good, nakakuha ng 10 out of 20, and then eventually nakakuha ng 15 out of 20, okay, very good pa rin. And then bumaba ng 8 out of 10, okay, very good. If you keep saying the same things over and over, it becomes meaningless. So it is a big no-no for you to do that. You have to take time to scan the output of your kid and then give specific details. It is important that we teach them, okay, not just being the best, but also developing the right attitude or the right mindset. Okay, that is very, very important. And then lastly, you actually you need to know when to seek help. It is important that you know that you have a partner in this kind of setup. Okay? It is a must that the school is doing something just like this webinar, because parents are the first educators of their children, but parents are not trained educators. Okay? Unless if you're a professional educator or also a teacher, then you may actually address the problem of your kids, or you may assist them properly. But then, if not, okay, it is very important that we know when to seek help. You are not in this on your own. You are not in this alone. So you have to tap the teachers. And if the school also have programs such as this one, it is very important that you have the growth mindset of adjusting and adapting with the different changes. Okay? And Bibal actually come up with this idea of learn at home kit. First and foremost, parents, this learn at home kit is actually for free. Okay? You do not have to pay anything. You just simply have to visit Bibal, and they come up with the idea of helping the parent, okay, in teaching the kids at home. The Learn at Home kit of Bibal is actually consists of 10 weeks or 1/4. This is good for 1/4. It includes academic books, test booklet, activity sheet, supplementary materials, and even the Teach at Home guide. The Teach at Home guide will actually give you very detailed information. How can you accomplish each and every part of the Learn at Home kit? So with that, that is the end of our first part. So now I would like to ask if you have questions. Sir, sorry, I cannot hear you po.
Hi, Ma'am Castor, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Oh,
Loud
yeah.
and clear.
My name is King Rosales. I introduced you a while back, and I'm so glad that we have a lot of things in common.
That's nice to hear, sir.
You are a nurse. I'm also a nurse. And once upon a time, I also went to the same university you graduated from, although I did not graduate there.
Oh, I
Yes,
see.
and you have been called by the academe. I was also. So meron na po tayong tatlong things in common.
And
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
it seems also that you have your skills, sir, when it comes with language.
Actually, I have more than 10 multiple intelligences.
Oh, that's nice to
No,
hear. Even
I'm just kidding.
way,
I'm
way
just kidding.
more than Howard Gardner's 8 multiple intelligences.
Yes, ma'am. I was actually looking at the list of your multiple intelligences. Sinasabi ko, meron pa kayang laugh smart doon? Kasi I tend to laugh all by myself, and I don't know if that's it could
You
be
may
included in the
You may
intelligences.
consider that, sir, in independent, okay, as independent skill.
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, we would like to thank you so much. I'm actually doing a synthesis of what you have discussed. Siguro towards the end po of the at the end of the part 2 of the seminar, so that all those who came in late may have a glimpse, kahit yung maliit lang po, of what you have discussed this morning. And I am really very, very glad that a lot of our parents are here with us tonight, and they're really very eager to know what it takes. They are very interested to know what it takes to be better teachers. Kasi sabi nga po ninyo kanina ay hindi naman po tayo, well, some of them, most of them have not been born professional teachers. But
Yes.
suddenly, sabi nga ni Ms. Riodique po kanina, you suddenly find yourself being teachers. So we just hope that with what you have discussed, marami pong napulot na aral ang ating mga parents this morning. Okay, so right now, we are going to give you a token. I think that it's about time that we give you a certificate of appreciation, and we would like to call the president of St. Therese Private School for the awarding of the e-certificate for you, Ma'am Marian Chris Castor.
Thank you so much.
Oh, there you are. Once again, this is Mrs. Thelma Seagod, president of St. Therese Private School.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can
Yes,
hear you
ma'am.
okay,
All
ma'am.
right. Thank you. Thank you. As you've said, pardon me from wearing the mask because we are sharing computer here. I'm inside the guidance office as we are preparing for our rosary tonight. Okay, at this point, I'm happy to see some children with you parents. Thank you for sparing your time, and I hope you're going to stay with us until the second batch. At this point, I would like to award the certificate to our facilitator today. I would like to personally thank you, Miss Marian, Chris, for sharing your expertise this morning. I know you're also busy as we are, and I appreciate so much for devoting your time to be with our parents this morning. So, are there any more questions? Are we ready? Sir King, are we all ready now? Do they, our parents, don't they have any questions to ask? Or are we settled already?
I think we probably should ask the parents if they have some questions for Miss Castor or some things that they want to be cleared on.
Yes, before we finally award the certificate, is there anybody from our parents who would like to raise some questions? Or should you have any questions, you can just chat it in the type it in the chat box so we can just gather all the question, and maybe a little later I can just coordinate with our facilitator and probably raise questions. Baka nahihiya po yung ibang mga parent to ask questions. You can just send us. We will just save whatever questions that you have in your mind, or maybe a little later, maybe you're still processing all the ideas that you learned. A little later, you can just, we have 30 minutes break, by the way. You can jot down your questions. And then at the same time, if given the time, Miss Marian, we can still talk to you maybe off air, and then we can discuss further probably. Okay, should there be none? I guess I can see any, questions there. All right. So I am greatly honored to award this certificate to our facilitator this morning. Okay. Miss Marian, I am honored to present to you the certificate of appreciation presented to Miss Marian Chris A. Castor for sharing her invaluable time and expertise as a webinar speaker on parents as teachers, creating positive teaching learning experience for their children as part of the school's Task Force Parenting webinar series designed for parents and guardians, given this 31st day of October 2020 in Mandaluyong City, Philippines. Signed, yours truly. Miss Marian.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for this honor, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. I hope I can talk to you after this one or during the 30-minute break. I hope time permits, we can still see you. Okay, at this point, I'd like also to thank our book advisor, Sir James and Sir Michael, for facilitating and for helping us come up with this very productive Saturday morning. Thank you again, Miss Castor. Thank you,
Thank
parents.
you.
We'll be having like a 30-minute break, and then we will be back for our part two series. At this point, again, parent, I will be reminding you to join us tonight at 6 o'clock as we are now preparing for our living rosary. It's a live rosary. Please invite your children to be with us tonight. Thank you, and as always, enjoy the rest of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, the president of St. Therese Private School, and again, we would like to give you our millions and millions of thanks. Our speaker for the first part of our webinar, Miss Marian Chris A. Castor. Kahit hindi po namin kayo nakikita, ladies and gentlemen, palakpakan po natin si Miss Castor. Thank you so much. Now, we will be taking a 30-minute break so you may attend to your personal necessities. Kasi kanina pa po parang tinatawag kayo ng nature. But please do come back for the second part of our webinar. This is as exciting as the first part of our webinar. So our 30-minute break starts now.
Thank you. Stay tuned.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is the second part of our webinar designed especially for you parents and guardians. Now, let us get to know a little bit better our second lecturer.
Our next lecturer is a graduate of Bachelor of Science, major in biology for teachers from the Philippine Normal University, and is currently taking up Master of Arts, major in Science Education in Rizal Technological University. Currently, he teaches Earth and Life Sciences, Senior High School Department of the Rizal High School Division of Pasig City. Previously, he taught in Mandaluyong High School, where he facilitated science subjects in various grade levels and has conducted continuous improvement programs on students' integrative learning in mathematics and science. Here to talk about what parents need to know about their engagement and securing their children's online safety at home. Please help me welcome Mr. Jason Barza.
Thank you so much, Mr. King Rosales, for the warm introduction.
You're
Am I
welcome, sir.
okay? Thank you, po, sir. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all our teachers, parents, school administrators, and the rest of our spectators from St. Therese Private School. To all our students whom are watching right now with their parents and families whom are watching at the comforts of their home or any place through which you can watch this special program today brought to you by St. Therese Private School in partnership with Vibal Group. So today, we will be discussing a very interesting topic that could actually engage or that could be very useful and vital in terms of engaging ourselves, especially with our parents whom are watching today. So the question is, or the question that I would like to ask you is, how prepared are you in this new normal? Gaano po tayo kahanda sa kinakaharap nating pagsubok upang maitawid ang edukasyon para sa ating mga anak? I know all of you are familiar with the blended learning. May it be modular form, text-based, online class, virtual class, and the rest of the new forms of delivering knowledge from school to all our learners without face-to-face intervention. Sa panahon na po ito, nabago po ang mga bagay o mga paraan na ginagamit ng ating mga anak sa pag-aaral. Mayroong mga bagay o kaalaman na nais pa nating paigtingin nang sa ganoon ay matiyak po natin ang kaligtasan ng ating mga anak sa distance learning. So what I would like to share with you today is about, let me share my slides first. Okay, can you see the slides? Okay. Um, what I would like to share with you today is about securing children's safety in online education, a must for every parent. So this topic is very timely with our current situation on our education setting. Maraming bago sa platform ng edukasyon ang ating kakaharapin sa new normal. At kabilang na dito ay ang pagsisiguro ng kaligtasan para sa ating mga anak. Gaano ba sila kaligtas sa araw-araw na nakaharap sila sa computer at nakababad sa internet? So these questions should be answered on our topic today, which involves our parents with the help also of our teachers which plays a very important role in supporting and protecting our students' health and learning, especially that we are facing a challenging transition from classroom to virtual or distance learning. And to continue, let me read first our objectives for this morning. At the end of this webinar session, attendees should be able to answer the following questions. Number one, how can I help on building a collaborative relationship among teachers, families, and community members? Second, how can I aid in recognizing and addressing students' needs in any class in an online platform? And finally, how can I maximize embracing a philosophy of partnership and collaboration where support and responsibility are shared to ensure students' online safety at home? So upon reading these objectives, I know some of you might be having a question to reflect with. Like for example, do I really provide for the needs of my child in terms of his or her academic safety? Sapat na ba na naibibigay ko lamang ang mga pangangailangang material mula sa kanyang paaralan? Or should we also reflect by asking ourselves, sa distance learning offered by New Normal, ligtas ba o may patnubay na natatanggap ba ang aking mga anak sa online learning platform of education? Bilang magulang, paano ko sila nabibigyang gabay? Sa panahon ngayon na wala si teacher sa tabi ng aking anak, paano ko masisiguro ang pagkatuto niya at the same time mapapanatiling ligtas ang kanyang pag-aaral sa gitna ng pandemya? I know to all our dear parents, some of you have already this feeling of frustration. Napupustrate na tayo, somewhat feeling of stress. Some of us are stressed. But then, if these questions triggered you somehow, then this session can give you a sense of involvement. Kailangan po nating makialam sa panahon na ngayon as a parent and at the same time as the teacher in charge at home in ensuring our child's online safety. So moving on, this presentation or the next slide shows us a particular scenario. So as you can see, we have the COVID-19 pandemic, new normal, the role of teachers and parents, and finally, distance learning, from which we can easily identify the factors that brought us to our current situation. So before the pandemic, we normally live our ways of sending our children to school to learn inside the four walls of the classroom. Not until then, a new normal comes into picture by all means, affecting our ways and methods as parents and teachers. Binago ng pandemya ang ating mga nakasanayan mula sa pagpre-prepare o pagpreprepara ng kanilang mga baon, ng kanilang mga snacks na dadalhin sa school, sa kanilang allowance, even in their preparations of their assignments and activities, school uniforms and school bus services, lahat po ay nawala at nagbago. So for now, what is the challenge? Ano ang challenge on our educational platform? The protocol for distance learning or blended learning was introduced, and the rest of all our concerns and questions seem to place most of our thoughts as parents in the feeling of insecurity and adversity. Sa aminin natin, nagkaroon tayo ng question sa ating mga isip. Nagkaroon tayo ng konting takot at pangamba. So this scenario leads us to some sense of confusion. So some of us might question, paano na to? Hindi ko alam ang gagawin. Hindi ko alam kung paano ang online learning na yan. Paano ko maisasabay ang pag-aaral ng aking anak sa iba ko pang mga gawain at trabaho? Paano ko sila matututukan? We tend to question technicalities when it comes to the usage, most especially of technology. And as long as online platform is concerned, we find answers to these questions. So some of these questions have arisen from our parents. Hindi ko po alam kung paano po mag-download. Hindi ko po makita, sir, yung file. Saan po dito? Sir, saan po makikita ang security setting? hindi po gumagana yung pinindot ko. I've set up an account and I have not touched any of it. I need help. So until such time that we end up stressing ourselves, giving us the feeling of burnout until we gave up and detach ourselves from that sense of responsibility and being accountable. Tandaan po natin, dear parents, mga mahal naming mga magulang, maaring sa ngayon ay nahihirapan po tayo sa sitwasyon pero hindi po tayo susuko sa edukasyon ng ating mga anak. Kasama ninyo po kaming mga guro upang maitawid po natin at malagpasan ang pagsubok na ito. So sana po, wag po tayo mawalan ng sense of involvement as a parent. Panatilihin po sana nating nag-uumalab ang apoy ng kagustuhan nating maitaguyod ang edukasyon ng ating mga anak sa gitna ng pandemya. Wag po tayong sumuko, wag po tayong mag-give up ng dahil lamang sa hindi po natin nalalaman ang teknikalidad at ang mga sumusunod na hakbang tungo sa pagkatuto. So it is very important for us parents and teachers to make our children feel that they are secured. Sa atin po sila unang huhugot ng lakas ng loob sa mga panahon na ito. And then moreover, if we involve ourselves in all means of support in any way we can, they are less likely to experience emotional distress and disengage themselves from school or learning. So iwasan po natin sanang mangyari po iyon. Okay? All right. And as long as parent involvement is concerned, in our session today, I would like to also give emphasis on the following points. We cannot secure our child if we do not involve ourselves. Again, parent involvement is vital in these trying times of learning. Napakahalaga na ang mga magulang po takes his or her place in times like this. Napakahalaga na tayo po ay manghimasok, makialam sa mga ginagawa po ng ating mga anak when it comes to distance learning. So parental involvement, if I may define, usually refers to the acts or practices of parents, caregivers, and guardians when they support their school-age children. And at the same time, familial involvement, according to Black 2009, is another term used to identify parents, caregivers, and guardians who support children enrolled in some form of virtual schooling. So from the words defined, it may not only be the parents or the guardians at home who may get involved with the students' learning, but also in one way or another, the sense of involvement may also come from every person who are with us at home. So or any family member or relative from whom we can turn to or whenever we have questions to address. Okay? Whereas a parent refers to any individual, may it be a parent, caregiver, or guardian, who is the primary support person for any student engaged in K-12 online learning. So during this time of pandemic, everyone or anyone could stand as a parent to a child who wants to learn. Hindi lamang po tayo parents. It could be the older brother, older sis, ate, kuya, tito, tita, lolo, lola. Okay, so everyone can be a parent. Okay? So sometimes an older brother could be a parent to a younger one. As what I mentioned a while ago, tito and tita can be a parent also. So anybody, as long as we can provide not only the emotional and material necessities of our child, but also if we can provide them with their academic resources and needs. And also, let me just show you how parental involvement narrows down to a description of parents in terms of their shared responsibility in school. So when we talk about parental involvement, it refers to the practices engaged in by parents to support their own children who are enrolled in any of these forms of K-12 online learning platform. A parent is someone who is responsible for her or his own children enrolled in the school. He or she may or may not be an employee of the school and provides student support away from the physical presence of the school. So what I shared here are just a few standards on how parents should act out freedom of involvement in our learners' necessities. According to Epstein, Dempsey, and Sanders, parent engagement can be differentiated in such a way that parents, number one, are responsible to provide for students' basic physiological and academic needs. Parents should participate in school-to-home communications. Third, parents should assist with school activities and attend extracurricular events. And finally, parents should be involved in learning activities at home and help students to develop the academic and social skills they need to become successful. So meanwhile, it has been given emphasis that school and home involvement, when placed together, pag pinagsama natin yung dalawang yan, can become a powerful tool to successfully achieve our students' learning. It entails encouragement under which we can ask, paano natin hinihikayat ang ating mga anak na magpatuloy sa pag-aaral sa kabila ng pandemya? Modeling, where we can reflect bilang mga magulang, paano natin nabibigyang halimbawa o modelo ang edukasyon sa mata ng ating mga anak. Reinforcement, sa paanong positibong pamamaraan natin mapapalakas o mapapaigting ang kagustuhan nilang mag-aral. And finally, instruction, where we tend to ask, natutulungan ba natin sila sa mga gawaing pampaaralan? When we use these core concepts of parental involvement, it only goes to show that parental involvement becomes a missing link in securing our child's safety at home in such a way that children tend to do better on their performance. Parents and children enjoy a deeper interaction. Children show improved self-esteem and self-worth, improved confidence, and better behavior. Children also complete their homework more easily and consistently. Parents can pinpoint students' key areas for improvement. If we involve ourselves, parents, dear parents, they become more engaged in learning. Makikita natin significantly na magiging maganda ang kanilang performance. Kasabay nito ay nagkakaroon ng malalim na interaksyon ang ating mga mag-aaral at mga magulang. There is an improvement on child's self-confidence and behavior, as what being mentioned a while ago. If we involve ourselves, mas ginaganahan silang mag-aral, gumawa ng module, sumagot ng activity at ng mga assignment. At kapag tayo ay nagbigay ng oras sa kanila, from there we can identify. Maaari mong malaman or ipinpoint mo ano ang strengths ng aking mga anak. Ano ang kanyang mga weaknesses? Nang sa ganoon ay makaisip ka ng paraan paano mo mai-improve ang kanyang mga kakulangan bilang mag-aaral. Malaking bagay ang naidudulot ng parental involvement at home and in school. So as stated, it affects their performance positively at bukod sa nagkakaroon ng interaksyon at malalim na koneksyon ang mga magulang at kanilang mga anak, lubos po nating malalaman ang mga areas for improvement ng ating mga learners. In connection with this, we can now figure out, maaari na tayong magtanong ngayon, how to address their needs in terms of online security at home. You try to ask yourself again, how can I make sure if my child is safe online? And what can I do? What can I offer to protect them? So with the next slides, dear parents, I'll be giving some tips for parents and parent teachers at home that you may consider on how can you engage yourselves in getting students' online safety. All right, and to continue, this presentation, our slide, shows how I categorize the cyber safety concerns to more specific subtopics. So it includes the following area. Number one, internet safety. Second, privacy and security. relationship and communication, cyberbullying and digital predators, self-image and identity, information and literacy, and finally, creative credit and copyright. So we all know that as part of the distance learning, bilang bahagi po ng ating distance learning or blended learning offered to us by the Department of Education, it comes along with the fact that aside from answering the modules or online activities, we need to get involved with their usage of cell phones, laptops, and internet security as well. Kaagapay natin sa mga panahon ngayon ang cellphone, ang tablet, ang laptop, ang internet, at lahat ng mga devices. But the question is, how safe, gaano kaligtas to browse online? So online class or but online access also comes with risks like inappropriate content, cyberbullying, and online predators. Using these applications and websites where kids interact, predators may pose a child or teen looking to make a new friend. So it seems that what children can see when they browse online is somewhat pretentious. Internet is such a powerful tool, but it also comes with fair share of risk. So as parents, what can you do to ensure our kids' safety? Let us begin with internet safety. In terms of internet safety, it may all start with our students. If there is no proper guidance, our kids are free to post anything that could actually put them in danger. So don't post something you will later regret. As parents, on this part, communication is very important. Communication is essential. Napakahalaga po na kausapin po natin ang ating mga anak at mamagitan sa kung anuman ang maaring maidulot ng irresponsible posts online. It is very important to remind them that everything that they post online represents a picture of who they are, and it would be very hard for them to remove it later. Same thing goes with us, di ba? As adults, mahirap nang bawiin kung ano man ang naka-upload or naka-post online. Matanggal mo man ito or ma-remove mo, maaari na itong ma-screenshot or ma-save ng iba pang taong maaaring makabasa ng inappropriate post na ito. So what can we do to help our learners at home? Number one, engage your kids in a conversation to explain the consequences of regretful posts. Minimize the impact of the post by asking your kids to take it down immediately, ask others to delete it, and report it to the website. Second area is about privacy and security. So in terms of their privacy and security, cyber stalkers can access your kids' personal information from their online profiles. So this information can be used for exploitation and threat. So this information can be used to spend money under your name or even harass or threaten your kids. So as parents, we should be able to, number one, require login approvals. Napakahalaga to require our children with their login approvals. We can actually have a checklist of their passwords, of their usernames, okay, for safety purposes. Teach your kids to block users whom they don't trust or someone that can hack their accounts. So if you think that that person is someone new to you, someone that is unfamiliar to you, then most likely you can actually block them right away. And teach them to set all private sharing to friends only. Always take time to review their posts and allow only their friends to post on their timeline. And most especially, set their accounts privately. So I think it will start in privacy settings of your cell phones and other gadgets as well. And then let us try to find time in exploring the privacy settings for safety purposes. Next is relationship and communication. In terms of relationship and communication, let us try uh, to make our children to avoid these phishing scams. So I know some of you are familiar with these scams. Maraming scams ang nagkalat sa online platform sa internet. These messages can contain links directing the learner to fake websites or dangerous websites or drop malwares or even drop viruses or malwares into their devices. So let us be more vigilant in looking after scams that are found online. If you think that the link is questionable, then tell our learners to ignore them or make a way through which they can avoid these phishing messages or scams. So sometimes nasisilaw kasi yung mga anak natin sa mga ganyan. They are in a form of a game, a movie, a favorite character. 'Di ba? Pag nakita nila, ay ang ganda, sino ba 'to? Pag clinic nila 'yan, then it can actually lead them to a dangerous browser or a page. Okay? So it will actually direct them to a page that is unsafe for them. So what can we do now? How can we help our kids in terms of relationship and establishing communication online? Number one is to teach them to question emails before taking action. Double check these emails. Okay? So most likely these emails are we can also have a checklist of valid emails coming from their classmates or from their teachers or from the school as well. Check the links before clicking. Report suspicious emails to the actual companies on the contact forms on the website. So um, these are some of the few tips in order for us to protect our children, to protect our learners in terms of relationship and communication online. Next issue is the cyberbullying and digital predators. Bullying has moved from playground to the computer. 'Di ba? Ngayon online na ang bullying. Nakakatakot dahil hindi lang sa playground nabubully ang ating mga anak, hindi lang sa labas ng ating mga tahanan, kundi pati na rin online or virtual. So with 35% of 11 to 17 years of age having been victims of cyberbullying over the past years. This may be rooted from online interactions. Hanggat merong interaction na nangyayari, there is bullying or bullying is present. So it may seem hard to trace if you are on a computer, mahirap hanapin, mahirap ma-identify sino sa mga nakakausap ng anak ko sa online ang bully. Okay? Or sino sa kanila ang mga nakakapagsalita ng mga inappropriate words towards my child. So it seems like normal rules are easier to break without consequence, which includes cyberbullying or visiting inappropriate sites. So what can we do to help them? Number one, convince your kids to talk to you if they are being bullied. Again, open communication is the key. Let us constantly ask them, anak, anong nangyari ngayon sa iyong online class? Meron bang mga hindi nangyari, may mga nangyari bang hindi maganda? In that way, we can elicit something, elicit their feelings or emotions. And for that, for them to actually open up and report any bullying instances to the teacher. It's very important to report these bullying instances. Block and report perpetrators' social media accounts and convince your kids not to respond to any unfamiliar messages. So it is very important to talk to them and hear their stories as well. Okay? Now, for self-image and identity. So it's very important to protect the image and identity of our child in terms of online sharing, online platform. So you will always be required to fill in some information. However, if this information gets into the wrong hands, you could be a victim of identity fraud. Okay? So some of our learners who are new with online platform, bago lahat sa atin itong platform na to. So it's very important for us to actually guide them for not to be a victim of identity fraud. Number one, what can we do to help our kids? Ask your kids to be careful in posting or sharing their personal address, email, or mobile number. This personal information can be used further by some people, okay, in having access with their accounts or to make fake accounts. Check if the details are really needed and share the minimum information. Minimum information. So meaning to say, it's not we can actually protect the information, the personal information, by just providing a minimum of them, a little of them, if we will be asked to provide this information. And then monitor their internet and phone activity. And then explain the consequences of their actions. Okay? Now, how about information and literacy? Let us try to educate your child about the scary and unpleasant content on the internet, which may frighten or discomfort them. So what can we do to help our kids? Enable safety mode to filter out potentially unacceptable content. Second, familiarize yourself with the pages your child has visited and block those sites if you don't want them to see. So again, you can have a checklist. If you involve yourself, you can actually have a checklist of what are the browsers, what are the pages in which my child can visit. Okay? So maaari kayong maglista ng mga valid browsers, valid online pages that they can actually visit. And then create a safe list of these sites, as what I've mentioned. And then tell them to never disclose their passwords. Okay? So, or if you want, you can change their passwords from time to time if you have taken control of their passwords as well. And then creative credit and copyright. So the issues of copywriting is rampant nowadays with online platforms. So it's very important to know about the rights to copyrighted work and what piracy and plagiarism are along with the consequences of them. So madali lang mag-copy paste, 'di ba? I-click mo lang si Google, may nakita kang information, you will copy and paste it. Then you have already the response. But I'm not telling you to follow that. So what can we do to help your kids? Set boundaries for internet usage, and then regularly check on visited websites, remove their ability to pay for any application services on their mobiles or tablets, and then remind them to properly indicate the reference materials and sources. So wala namang masama if we can actually get the idea or the concept from a particular source. All we have to do is to cite, okay, or to acknowledge the reference material or the sources from which we get or we got those information. All right, so there you have it, dear parents. Those are some of the few tips that I hope or hopefully helped you somehow in setting your goals in ensuring your child's online safety at home. So again, given those tips, some of us might be questioning again. Ayan na naman yung question. How can we do that? How can we do that, sir, while we are working? How could it be possibly done when I have 2 or 3 children to guide with on their online classes? Now, from these questions, dear parents, we can now reassess ourselves in addressing this issue. Let us now try to address the important issues. If we recalibrate our ways and reassess on where we can provide on our part, we can come up with these 3 points. Number one, parents and students have different views on online safety. So what is the challenge? The challenge is to break that wall or barrier between us and our child learners. Number one, we should build trust and shared responsibility regarding the proper usage of technology. Number two, communication or listening to them is another key to online safety. If we keep close to them, if we keep ourselves constantly monitored of what they are doing, then we can help in lessening the burden and ensuring their safety. Next is students is a resource for parents to enhance their digital literacy. Students are considered as a resource for parents to also enhance their digital literacy. So mas may alam pa nga sila sa atin, di ba, in terms of using this technology. But then, the challenge that we should accept on this part is that we should learn from their self-discoveries and experiences. All the positive discoveries and experiences that they may share when we talk to them, we can actually use that in order for us to guide them or to secure their safety. Our children can help us by them using their prior knowledge and experiential learning. A two-way process, beneficial and vital on both sides. Should I say, if they can learn from us, then we can also learn from them. And then finally, diversity of parenting styles or parenting styles. As parents, we are expected to set the rules, the policies, and expectations regarding online engagement. So bilang mga magulang, tayo pa rin ang masusunod sa kung paano mapapanatili ang wastong paggamit ng gadgets and internet. And maybe we can impose strict consequences and strategies on a positive way or in a positive approach. Kailangan nating mag-set ng rules. It may be on time management, hanggang ganitong oras lang ang paggamit ng gadget. So let's say for example, after online classes, you can switch off the internet and then turn it back for 1 hour again later. And then try to involve your child with more of let's give them a time to refresh themselves by playing games like that, but then syempre with your supervision, or better if you can reset internet settings. Okay, so those are some of the few ways, diba? So let us be more creative, okay, in terms of how can we actually address safety at home. So again, the aim of this talk or sharing is to at least refresh and share with you some key points that you can apply at home. So watch for warning signs better, or it would be better if you can watch for warning signs of a child being targeted by an online predator. So this include spending long hours online, especially at night, 'di ba? Minsan napupuyat na sila kakagamit ng tablet, ng cellphone, ng laptop, but then we can control it. It's on our discretion on how are we going to control those things. Then phone calls from people you don't know, 'di ba? Unsolicited gifts arriving in the mail. So your child suddenly turning off the computer when you walk into the room. 'Di ba? So minsan kahina-hinala na minsan yung mga ginagawa when we are not um, closely monitoring them. So it's the key term here, or the key concept here is actually self or parent involvement. So let us some of them with withdrawal from family, and then life and reluctance to discuss online activities. So let us try to talk to your kids. Keep an open line of communication and make sure that they feel comfortable turning to you or turning to us when they have problems online. Because as kids get older, it gets a little trickier to monitor their time spent online. So they may carry a smartphone with them at all times. They probably want and need some privacy. This is healthy and normal as they're becoming more independent from their parents. But the internet can provide a safe virtual environment for exploring some newfound freedom if precautions are taken. So talk about the sites and applications that our kids, especially the teenagers, are using and their online experiences. So let us try to open up and discuss the dangers of interacting with strangers online and remind them that people online don't always tell the truth. 'Di ba? What we see online is just the superficial. Okay, it's not the actual one. So some of them or most of them are fake actually. And explain that passwords are there to protect against things like identity theft, and they should never share them with anyone, even with their friends. So taking an active role in your kids' internet activities helps ensure that they benefit from them without being exposed to potential dangers. Okay, and now before I end my sharing with you this morning, I just would like to share also with you the Learn at Home Kids, the new now of learning experience brought to us by Bibal, which contains supplements, activity sheets, test booklets, and academic books, which can help us in assisting our students' learning capacity at home. Since we are looking for alternate activities, apart from the usage of gadgets, we might also consider using these resources to aid their learning, safe and informative. And also, we can gear up homeschooling learning with Vibal academic books from grade 7 to 10, which covers five major subjects: science, mathematics, English, Filipino, and social studies. In one book, which is packed with lessons and activities good for 1 quarter. So you can actually get these books by visiting their shop at vibalgroup.com in order for you to place their order. So we have here, if you have questions and concerns with those things, you can visit the information as flash on our slides or in your screens. Okay. All right. Before I end up my sharing with you today, I would like to thank the Bibal Group for this opportunity and of course St. Therese Private School in allowing me to share my knowledge to all of our parent viewers today. So most especially with all our teachers, parent teachers, to our partners at home, our parents. So palakpakan natin, bigyan natin ng virtual clap ang ating mga sarili. So ayan, so for we already accepted the challenge. With this new normal of education, tinanggap na po natin ang challenge. And to all our students, parents, and teachers and staff, thank you so much for giving time to listen. And I hope you had your learning for this morning session. And now to end my sharing, I would like to share with you this one. With all the key points we discussed today, with this morning, my realization goes along with how can we embrace these changes. Paano po natin tatanggapin ang mga pagbabagong ito? So how can we deal with the new normal in education despite of the challenges we are facing right now? So I know that it is something new to all of us, but there is nothing impossible if we help hand in hand together. Let there be no reason for us to stop the child's right to education. Parental engagement at home is as important as teachers' responsibility in school. So if I may share, during one of my parent-teacher meetings I conducted, let me give you a throwback of my quote I'm always telling to the group of parents of my students. As I read, as we save and build our standards of education, it is also never too behind to raise the foundations of parents' engagement in schools. While teachers educate, learners master their craft, parental involvement can fuel the bearings of the machine, for it is a multidimensional responsibility. And I believe bringing that perspective on the table will surely equip the younger ones to be able to reach their academic potentials. So if we parents and teachers make a positive connection, then we can fully engage our learners' potential and capacity and sustain a lifelong learning. Even during this time of pandemic, kakayanin po natin ito, where safety and learning can both be achieved. So kung kailanman po ang panahon na dapat po tayong makialam, ito po ang panahon na iyon. Ngayon po ang panahon na hindi po dapat natin iwan. Hindi po dapat natin iwan ang ating mga anak, ang ating mga estudyante, ang mga mag-aaral. Naway magabayan po natin ang ating mga anak sa kanilang pag-aaral sa panahon ng pandemya. Wala man po sila sa silid-aralan, batid po namin na magiging progresibo at ligtas ang daloy ng edukasyon sa tahanan dahil dahil nandyan po kayong mga mahal naming mga magulang na laging nakaagapay. So once again, I'm Mr. Jason Espedillon Barza. On behalf of Viva Group and St. Therese Private School, we thank you and stay safe. Good morning, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Mr. Jason E. Barza. So that's the E in your E. Barza. Ano nga ulit yung sir, middle name niyo, sir?
Yes, sir. Espedillon po, sir.
Espedillo, I'm very, very pleased to meet you, sir. My name is Mr. Rosales. I've introduced you a while back. Okay. Thank you so much for being with us. As you thank us for allowing you to talk with our parents, we also thank Vibal for allowing you to for allowing us to allow you talk to us. So parang
Yes, sir. Yes,
ikot
sir.
lang po. So a little later on, we're going to, before we let you go, we need to express our gratitude for your coming to us sa lahat ng household ng aming mga parents. And we will be awarding you with a certificate of appreciation, and that would be given to you by the president of the school, Mrs. Telma Go. But meanwhile, doon po sa pinakahaba-haba ng diniscuss po ni Sir Barza, isa lamang po ang pinakabuod. Sa aking palagay, isa lamang pinakabuod. Set boundaries for online usage. Ito po siguro yung kanyang pinaka-core. Tas hinimay niya ng isa-isa kung paano tayo magsaset ng boundaries for our kids habang sila ay gumagamit ng online platform. So again, we would like to thank you so much for being with us this morning. Akala nga namin 30 minutes lang si Sir Barza, but we are so glad that he has extended a little bit more time para mas maliwanagan po tayo at para mas maging comprehensive ang kanyang discussion sa online usage ng ating mga anak. I can see all the parents. Buhay pa po kayo mga parents? Buhay pa, no? Okay. Paki-thumbs up naman, nakikita ko kayo. Ayun. Mrs. Hit, hi. Hi. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikiisa sa amin. So we would now like to call our president to meron po ba kayo, but before we call the president, meron po ba kayong katanungan kay Mr. Barza? If you have questions, and if Mr. Barza will still have time, he's going to answer all your questions. And if not, pwede po ninyong i-type ang inyong questions sa ating pong chat box, and then we'll get back to you as soon as your questions have been answered by Mr. Barza. And don't worry po, lahat po ng diniscuss ngayon ng ating dalawang lecturers will be, itatry po natin na ipopost pa ito sa ating website. Yung 10 tips po ni Ms. Castor at yung mga key points na diniscuss po ni Mr. Barza ay itatry po din po natin na i-post sa ating website. Okay na po? So now we would like to call our president, Mrs. Telma C. Go, to award Mr. Barza his certificate of appreciation.
Thank you so much. Again, hi, Sir Jason.
Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Pardon me from wearing this one because, you know, as a golden girl, we're just sharing an office here. So I am forced to wear my mask. Okay, so at this point in time, I know I would like to personally thank you for sharing, again, your expertise and your time. But if I may just reiterate to my parents who are here right now, maybe the best that you should do is to revisit our school primer, because we already explained to all of you the 4 C's. So we ask you to have your commitment. We have this pledge of commitment. It's just very simple to say, but it might be a bit difficult to put it into action. So let me just remind you the 4 C's. One is collaboration, cooperation, commitment, and the number 1 is communication. So the last C that I mentioned is a communication. We will have to discuss this one piece at a time in the coming days. So one way of communicating is to have this kind of webinar that we have today. So I know it's been a long Saturday already. Then you might be around to prepare for your lunch. But before that, I would like to personally thank you again, Sir Jason.
You're
hope
welcome,
to
ma'am.
see you in person when time permits. At this point, I'd like also to thank Sir James and Sir Michael for helping us in facilitating to make this webinar possible. So today is a very fruitful Saturday for all of us. So as you are aware, parents, that tonight we are now actually preparing our chapel for tonight's culminating activity. Again, I would like to invite all of you to join us tonight. Encourage your children to pray with us the rosary. So all the staff, our teachers will have our live rosary tonight. Okay, so you have taken all. This is a very productive Saturday. I've mentioned. Please, parents, don't forget. Continue to be safe. Sabi nila mayroon daw malaking may bagyo daw na papasok ngayon. So let's all prepare and wala namang makakaano doon. Sama-sama tayo magdadasal tonight na ma-divert yung nakakatakot na bagyo kung saan man tatahak yan. For all of us praying together as big family, walang ano dyan kung hindi tayo. Sama-sama na magdasal para mawala yung bagyo, maglihis, mapunta sa kung saan man, and then sana maging healthy and physically healthy tayo, keep safe always. At this point, parents, if you have further questions, as I've said this morning during the first batch, if you feel you have questions, I and Sir King will try to answer it. But in the event that we need to consult our facilitators or Jason, will it be okay, sir, if we will just, chat and ask you maybe tonight, or parents might be shy enough to ask question. So kung mayroon silang tanong, hi. So don't be shy, don't be shy. I-chat nyo na lang po, and then baka may time pa si Sir Jason, we can also ask pag hindi namin kaya. Will that be okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you. Thank you so much. It's lunchtime. I know we cannot serve you even a snack, sir. So magkita na lang tayo as soon as everything will be okay. Again, from the bottom of our hearts, parents, this is just this is just the first serving. And at the same time, at this point in time, I would like now to award the certificate to Sir Jason. Okay? Kindly show the, okay, for a while. So Sir hello. Am I still on? It can be. Okay. All right. Is my work? Is this working?
You're on, Mrs. Ko,
Right.
you're on.
Okay. On behalf of the Steps family, I would like to award this certificate of appreciation to Sir Jason Barza for sharing his invaluable time and expertise as a webinar speaker on securing children's safety in online education, a must for every parent. As part of the school's Task Force Parenting Webinar Series, designed for parents and guardians, given this 31st day of October 2020 in Mandaluyong City, Philippines. Signed, yours truly. Sir Jason, we will be sending you or giving you a copy of this one through
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir James, or I guess it's Sir Michael. I will be coordinating with them. Thank you, Sir James, if you are watching. Thank you, Bibal, for helping this out and making this one a fruitful one. Have a blessed weekend to all of us. Keep safe and God bless us all. Thank you. Thank you so much. Enjoy your lunch. Bye. See you tonight, parents. See you at 6 o'clock in the evening. Let us all pray. Thank you.
Once again, parents, we would like to thank you so much for joining us in the very first of the webinars series that we are designing for all of you. O, konting recap na lang po bago tayo mag-lunch. Sabi po natin kanina doon kay Sir Barsa, the most important thing that we need to remember is to set boundaries for online usage. When it comes to internet safety of your children is concerned. Pag internet safety, dapat po laging may involvement ng parents, but not too involved naman po. Okay, wag naman masyadong pakialaman yung mga bata. Ang pinaka-importante sa mga bagay na nabanggit po ng dalawang speakers natin, communication. So it is very important to communicate with your children for their internet safety. It is also very important that you communicate with your children when it comes to involvement in the learning process of your children. Okay po? Ang pinaka-importante rin po dapat nating maintindihan ay yung cyberbullying. Ang cyberbullying is nothing but bullying na ngayon ay nasa online platform na po. Okay po, again, before we accuse somebody of bullying your children, we should understand first what bullying is. May tatlo po tayong dapat tandaan sa bullying. Number one, dapat ito ay repetitive. Paulit-ulit na ginagawa sa inyong anak at hindi hindi gumaganti ang anak nyo. Number two, ang reason po ng paggawa ng acts of bullying sa inyong anak ay dapat po nasasaktan physically, emotionally, spiritually, lahat po ng ito. Dapat paulit-ulit at ang inyong anak po ay nasa isang lugar na wala siyang laban. Okay po. Pero pag ang isang tao po inaway ang anak nyo, you cannot say that is bullying already. Lalo na pag ang anak nyo ay gumanti, that is not bullying. Again, sabi natin sa orientation, that is away. Okay? Hindi siya bullying. Sa bullying kasi merong aggressor at merong na-aggrieve na party. At normally, yung na-aggrieve na party ay walang nagagawa. Okay po, again. Tapos po, ang pinaka-importante rin po sa ating online safety, huwag basta-basta magbigay ng ating password at ng ating identity. Sa atin po ngayon, sa ating Facebook, lahat po tayo ay nakakakita ng mga apps na nagpapaganda ng mukha, naiiba ang mukha. Pero meron kayong fill out na information. Be very vigilant about it. Sometimes, ang ating mga wrongdoers ay nagtatago sa mga forms na inyong finifill out sa mga apps na dapat po ninyong sagutan ng inyong personal information. Okay po? Doon naman po sa ating kay Miss Chris Castor, I would just like to underscore yung pong doon sa realistic expectations that you need your children to have independent learning. Sa atin pong independent learning, sabi natin doon, pag independent learning, we need our children to do the activities by themselves. Allow them to do the activities by themselves. Assistance lamang po tayo. Do not do the activities that they are supposed to do and allow your children to make mistakes. Kasi po sa mistakes natututo tayong lahat. Okay, dahil gusto po nating ma-perfect ng ating anak ang ating activity sheets, ang ating tests, ang parental involvement natin ay medyo lumalagpas po sa dapat nakalalagyan lang natin. Okay, dito po papasok ang ating academic integrity. Di po ba? Perfect nga natin ang score ng ating mga anak. Perfect ang lahat kanyang PTs. Pero sino naman ang gumawa? We are not helping our children by doing this. Okay, so tandaan lamang po natin itong mga bagay na ito. And we will be very, very good teachers, parents as teachers. And again, if you need help, sabi natin, know your partners at kami lamang po ang partner ninyo sa learning ng inyong mga anak. Okay, but do not hesitate to ask help from us, from the administration, from your teachers. Okay po, sino pong gutom na pakitas ang kamay? Wala, busog pa. Natatawa pa po kayo. But sige, we're going to thank you so much for coming with us, for being with us this morning. And we would be inviting you again sooner or later para po sa mga series of seminars na amin pong inihahanda para sa inyo. Meanwhile, we would like to enjoy the weekend. At kagaya na sinabi ni Mrs. ko, sana po ay hindi naman dumapo sa atin si Rolly. O sana lumipad siya sa karagatan na lang kung saan walang taong maaapektuhan. Maraming salamat po ulit. God bless you all. Keep safe. Lagi po mag-practice ng health safety protocols. All right? Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend.